FM and 1180 AM. Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Bringing you the best in Blount County sports since 1978. Featuring the Greenfield Gunner, Mike Edwards, former Maryville Scott, Donnie Moore, and from the Daily Times, Marcus Fitzsimmons.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, and I'm here at the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville, along with Blount County Sports Hall of Famer Donnie Moore and longtime sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons. Alcoa wins the Battle of Pistol Creek, and we're going to the whistle blows. And now let's set today's lineup card. Donnie Moore will report on high school football scores around the area, and we'll follow up with some national sports stories. Marcus Fitzsimmons will be on board to update us on what's happening in local high school sports. The kickback from the Maryville-Alcoa game will headline. Alcoa assistant football coach Brian Gossett will join Marcus. And I will follow up with some UT football and some other University of Tennessee sports news. The Letter Rip segment will be in the lineup, and a top 10 list will be thrown in for good measure. We're happy you're here with us. So let's break the huddle and dive right in. Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons, good morning to you after a great high school football game last night in Blount County.
Good morning, Mike. Week one was a success, at least if you're an Alcoa fan.
Yeah. And it was really a game that, at Marcus, that you just kind of hated to see somebody lose, huh?
Oh, no kidding.
Well, I walked out of there, and it's not the first time I've said it after an Alcoa Maryville game, but that may be the best game I see this year.
Yeah.
That was
Wouldn't be surprised at all.
another instant classic out of that, another one that came down to the very last play. I wrote about this morning, if you're from the Maryville side, it's heartbreaking in a way, but it's very similar to the position they were in back in October last year when these two teams met, where they were in the position to go for the winning score.
Yeah.
And you can't ask for much more than that.
Yeah.
They had a shot.
I noticed Tim Burchett was there last night.
He was. We saw Congressman Burchett.
Was he running the clock?
No, he did not run the clock.
No, that was not Tim Burchett, for anybody who was asking.
No.
He wasn't on the clock the last minute of the game.
Absolutely not.
Okay, well, we needed to clear that up.
A little bit of controversy there in the last few
Yeah.
seconds of the game.
Yeah. Well, I got a letter rip here this morning. So
all right, brother, let her rip.
Let's go. Hey, just when I saw all that I thought there was to see when it comes to universities raising money for their athletic programs, a new angle has come into play. Oklahoma is offering fans a chance to attend post-game news conferences. That's right. For a checkbook price of $692.11, Sooner fans can hear their coach Brent Venables' take on his team's game with Michigan on September the 6th. For the Southeastern Conference home opener, Oklahoma fans can dish out $576.86 for Mr. Personality Brent Venables' assessment of the team's Auburn contest. The money-making post-game program falls under the catchy name Sooner Magic Memories. If Oklahoma loses both of these games, these paying fans might want Venables to perform some real magic by disappearing. What do you think?
I would say that could be very well happen.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Marcus, you're in those media rooms, and what do you think about fans going in there? Huh?
I think it's a terrible idea. But
I knew that was coming.
You know what? I'm admittedly biased, but at the same time, we've seen fans in there before. There are venues and events that we go to where coaches or VIPs will line the back of the wall just to watch what's going on. So it's not like it's something we haven't dealt with, but it's something that is a difficult item to control.
Yeah.
Because when you bring fans in, they're wanting to celebrate. They're wanting to hear, how great we are and how good we did, and they want to cheer about it. But all that cheering is why we're in that media room, because we can't get the audio on the field a lot of times. The mics that you see those use on live games when they're talking to the guys on the field, you can hear how much trouble they're having, and that's top of the line equipment. Not everybody can afford that.
Sure.
But if you're just trying to do an interview, being interrupted by the shouts and yells can be kind of difficult for some people to manage.
Donnie, I hope these fans that get in, if their team loses, and they've got to be in there, I hope it doesn't turn into some of these political rallies where you just can't even hear the coach.
Me too.
I don't know what's going to happen.
Hey, it was about that bad last night over at Alcoa at Goddard Field. It got so loud from time to time. I couldn't even hear my announcements.
Yeah. Well, I've got a top 10 list here this morning, and it's the top 10 ways for Vol fans to contribute to the Big Orange Endless Money Pit program. This is kind of their response to what Oklahoma's doing. And I put a lot of thought in this, and it's not a a lot of times I know I'll be sarcastic, in the top 10.
Well,
I'm not going to be sarcastic with this, based on the average ticket cost of $2,500 now for a season ticket. I think I'm in line with some of this, and we'll kind of go down through here, and you guys can kind of pick out which one of these you'd like to do. You'd like to contribute to the athletic program. Number 10, I've got to have this one. Lead the Vols onto the field. That one costs you $16,000 if you want to do that one. Hang out with Smokey for a game. You just come to the game and you hang out down the sidelines with Smokey.
Which one? The
dog? No, this is this is the dog.
Yeah, that's a great experience.
$2,000 for that one. Almost what it cost you for the season ticket. Number 8, lead a cheer with the cheerleaders, $2,500. So you could do the 2,000 one and be down on the field and go ahead and get your cheer in for $4,500.
Yeah.
See, do a dual deal. I like this one. This is you, Donnie. I think this is you. Number 7, parachute into the stadium with the game ball. Whew. The Black Knights parachute you in there. $50,000.
Oh my goodness.
$50,000 to do that one.
Not sure I'm up for that yet.
Marcus, you're a sports writer. How about this one for you? Call one play. You get to call one play. You stand out on the field and you get to call one play. $20,000.
What's the insurance value on that one? Because if you're the fan that calls that $20,000 play and they lose 5 yards, you may not make it back to your seat.
Yeah,
this is
you
true.
Remember Bobby Denton? The announcer over there.
WIVK announcer.
All right, so you go through the concessions, you give the menu of concessions, and then you follow up with the saying and pay no more.
Pay no more.
You can do that for $5,000. Announce it's football time in Tennessee when the team runs onto the field.
Yeah.
$5,000.
Good grief.
Now, this is one everybody wants. Everybody wants to do this. Be a Vol fan for life for one day. Everybody, I wish I could be a Vol fan. Wish I was a former Vol where I could be a VFL?
A VFL.
VFL for one day. Well,
so you want to be a VFFL.
You get a card. Yeah. You get a card with this, but it's going to cost you $10,000 to do that for one day. It's going to cost you.
That hurts.
But you don't have to go through the 4 or 5 years of sweat to get that.
True.
See. Or the 1 year and go into the transfer portal. Hey, call the coin toss before the game. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
You bring them out there. $15,000. $15,000.
So you get to go out and call it heads or tails for the Vols, or you get to go flip the coin?
Well, you get to do both. Yeah, I think for 15 you get to flip it and call it.
Well, I like that.
And
I got double-headed quarter in my pocket.
And we'll throw in, you get to keep the coin. $15,000.
That's cool. It's an expensive coin.
Number
Bitcoin?
Number one is a big one. You get to give the prediction on game day when the crew is in Knoxville. That'd be a good one. A lot of people would like to do that, wouldn't they? They could dress up. A lot of people like to dress up and put their Halloween garb on in orange and white and get on there. $25,000 for doing that.
Gracious.
What do you think, Marcus? I think they're all reasonably priced.
I'm hoping somebody at UT is over there scribbling away, Mike, and writing these ideas down for next season.
I think it's all right there. Well, we'll see. We'll see what they come up with, huh?
I would try to roll out premium boat parking ahead of some of those.
I didn't think of that one. Yeah, what would you put a price tag on that for?
Well, it depends whether you want to be like the first boat or whether you just want to be touching
in the flotilla.
Well, you could throw your anchor out there in the middle and just swim over. That'd be a cheaper way to do the deal.
I think I'll pass on that.
And if you could provide, if they could, I'd be more interested in golf cart service from where I park to the stadium.
Yeah, that's a good.
If they would come pick me up in those little golf carts or gators they've got running around, I would take that. I would pay for that.
Good one. Donnie, you got any?
I would choose number 7. Hanging out with Smokey for a day for the game.
Just hang out down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is that the real Smokey you were talking about, or the stuffed Smokey?
That's
no,
the real
one, man. Real
Now,
dog.
I did see one time when I was about 13 years old, Dad and I went to a game, and Colonel Sanders was over there, and I saw Smokey run up and just take a hunk out of Colonel Sanders' rear end almost, right down upper thigh, right there in the back. He just hung on, man. He bit him.
All right. All right. Well, we got some Tennessee Vol news before we get into football. The football tickets are going to go up in 2026 4%. And I think I read it right last week that the average season ticket now is around $2,500. But Marcus, I'll ask you right quick here. The league's going to 9 games, 9 SEC games.
Yes.
Do you think that 4% increase had something to do with adding that 9th SEC game?
I wouldn't think so. They've never given us a discount for cupcakes, so I don't know if they would charge us more for the SEC. But
probably right. But it does look, the schedule looks a little more. You're not going to have but what, 2 cupcakes because they have to play a Power 5 school.
Yeah, right.
I mean, your entertainment value is going to go up with that. I mean, you're going to have another good game if you're a good team and in contention. I mean, if you are, shall we say, one of the cellar dwellers, you're that's just one more game that the other team's going to buy out all your tickets.
Yeah, and why I got you on here, they are going to go to that 9th game. You're going to have 3 natural rivals on there. So what 3 have you got? What 3 rivals have you got on UT's schedule that's going to be a permanent?
I think Tennessee will keep what they've got with Alabama and Vanderbilt. If you want to go to another one, I think it's going to be more of a two-way agreement on those, like because ideally, in Tennessee's world, you would take Kentucky.
Yeah, since you've beaten them out 99 out of 100 times, that would
well,
be a good
yes,
one to put
but it's
on
also the border rivalry, and you're the northern schools in the conference, and the rest of the conference will look at the way you do, which is Tennessee gets another easy conference victory most years.
And a short trip.
Yeah,
and a short trip.
Year in and year out.
So that may not go down the way that particular path, but
true.
I mean, you could see Tennessee or Florida. You could see.
I got Florida.
I
like Florida.
You might actually see Tennessee or Georgia, but I don't think that'd be Tennessee's
Yeah, I'd like
pick.
that one too. I'd like that one too. Well, we'll see. We'll see. But I agree with you. I think Alabama and Vanderbilt's probably going to be.
I think it's probably going to be one of the old Eastern Conference, Eastern Division schools, but as to which one, like I said, it's probably going to be more of a two-way street when you get into that 3rd game.
Yeah. Well, the two players that we reported on last week that was in trouble, Chris Brazil, the second, he was charged with the receiver, Tennessee football receiver, charged with driving with a suspended driving license. That has been dismissed. But Lady Vol basketballer Ruby Whitehorn, she has been suspended indefinitely, the way I read it, Donnie.
That's what I got out
for her arrest on August the 8th. She faces felony charges on aggravated burglary and domestic assault. A preliminary hearing is planned for September the 5th. So she has been suspended, and she is not allowed to work out with the basketball team who are in workouts right now.
Right.
Fall
well,
workout.
Mike, when you get angry enough to kick in somebody's door, you're pretty angry.
Yeah.
And you need to pay for that.
Yeah. And the last one I got here, Tennessee Athletics has announced that the school's fundraising record for athletics hit $169.5 million, a record.
That'll almost pay the NIL, won't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Or how about some reparations for us guys that played over there?
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Give us a cut of that
That's right.
$169.5 million. Okay, enough said there. Hey, let's talk some Tennessee football. Joey Aguilar has been named the starting quarterback for the Vols opener against Syracuse. Everybody was waiting for this. We talked last week that most of us felt like this was going to be the decision because they brought him in from UCLA. They're paying him a substantial amount of money, and they were going to go with him out of the gate. So as far as I'm concerned, and I don't know how the rest of you feel, but not much of a surprise here, Marcus.
I can't say I'm surprised, no, but I also don't think it's permanent. So I may be wrong. He may come out and wow, but I think there's a lot of growing room with the freshmen, and I think you've got some possibilities of what might happen, and we'll see what goes on. I mean, it wouldn't be unheard of. We saw Heupel's first year, so we'll see what happens.
Well, let me ask you, that brings me to the next question, Donnie. Is he going to get a long rope or a short rope?
I think he's going to get a pretty long rope in the beginning.
They're going to be patient with him.
They're going to be patient with him because he's not proven himself yet. But I think he has the talent to do that.
I think Syracuse is a good game to break in. Down in Atlanta. It's going to be like a home game for you down there. Syracuse is a fairly good football team.
Traditionally,
and play in the ACC. I believe,
right,
don't they? They play in the ACC, and then you got East Tennessee State coming in the next week. But the third game, I'm a little bit concerned for him because you got Georgia coming in here.
A little bit suspect.
Yeah, Georgia coming in here,
we'll see what they're made of then.
And if you get by Georgia, then I think it's UAB after Georgia.
I think so. Yeah.
But anyway, you don't want to get off on a bad start against Syracuse, Marcus, huh? You want to go down there and at least do a good job.
I mean, you want to show up. It's your opener.
Sure.
And like I said, if we go back to that first Heupel year when it was West Virginia that was the opener, I mean, Tennessee usually does okay opening against a Power 5 school, especially an ACC school. It's not ideal when you've got the new quarterback, but there's a lot of schools who are in that predicament right now. So, get them out there and see what happens. If things don't go well, it's the first game, and if you end up putting somebody in for a drive or two, so be it.
Yep. He has a tendency, Donnie, to throw some interceptions. So I think early, that's one thing you kind of got to look at is, where's he placing the ball? And,
right.
Is that going to be a problem with him throwing some interceptions? And can you tolerate that with some of the good things he's going to be able to do?
That's going to have to be a balance between you said, some of the bad things and the good things.
Yeah.
So.
Now, I know the coaches are probably going to be a little bit because he's new to the system. I don't even know if they're going to have a complete playbook with him, going into the start of the year. I don't know. But, Marcus, let's talk about the fans. What's the expectation from the fan standpoint of Joey Aguilar going in?
Well, that depends, Mike. There are fans and then there are Tennessee fans.
No, I'm talking Tennessee fans here,
So Tennessee fans are going to expect him to come out there and look Heisman contender-ish and ready to go.
Playoff looking. Be
able to win the game. They're going to look at all the upsides he brought. And, I mean, you mentioned interceptions. He has a downside. But at the same time, but there's a good number of those interceptions that, to me, came in situations where it was 3rd and long and they were pushing the ball and trying to do something big. And if you're throwing an interception on 3rd and long, it's the same thing as a punt.
Yeah.
So I'm not as concerned about his accuracy. I'm a little more concerned about his decision making when it comes to eating the play or not, because I think he hates to take the ball down in a 3rd down situation where he feels like he can make that conversion.
Yeah.
But, the fans know it's not Nico. So they may expect a lot, but at the same time, they know they can't expect him to be Nico.
Are you looking for a lot of running plays out of him out of the gate and screen passes, some safe stuff to get him started?
I'm not sure the system's built for that. It'd be nice if they could do that to a degree, but at the same time, Tennessee uses both of those things in their offense. They use the screen, they use the run game, and what I don't want to see Tennessee do is come out there and just try to pound away, because that has not always worked real well when in an opener where they tried to pound away against a Power 5 team just to get started and get everybody comfortable, and they found themselves in a 14-0 hole.
Yeah, right, exactly. The new system that they've got, if they've got a limited playbook, are you looking that they're going to do you look for the hurry-up offense with him?
You would think he'd be capable of running it. Like you said, he may not have all the options there on the table for him, but we're not allowed to see drills like we used to, so we don't know for certain. But until you get him out there, I would think that that's something they would like to be able to do, but I think he's going to have to prove he can manage it in a game.
How long do you think it's going to take before they compare him to Nico?
Oh, it's already.
That's already started.
It's
right?
already started.
Oh, it's already started right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how long do you think it's going to take for it to really, really heat up?
I think
After the Georgia game?
After he throws a couple of interceptions.
Let's say this. I would expect direct comparisons between their stats next Saturday.
Next Saturday.
Like how Nico did in UCLA in his opener versus how he did. If that's not a breakout on somebody's show Saturday night or Sunday morning, I would be shocked.
Got to be.
Yeah.
Got to be.
Boo Carter. A lot of people talking about and wanting him maybe to move to the offense. What do you think about that deal, Donnie?
Well, I think he's got the talent to do it.
Yeah.
If they want him to shine, then that's probably the place he could do it. Yeah. So I wouldn't
There's
be
not very
averse to
many
that.
players that can go both ways.
No,
but
absolutely not.
If he's that talented and he can go both ways and make a statement both ways, you're talking about getting some national publicity.
Yeah, raising
if
his
this
stock.
team can do pretty well, that would be a big feather in his cap.
Sure would.
Yeah. What do you think, Marcus?
I've heard the chatter, and I saw the John Adams column about that. And, to my mind, I'm just wondering if that's something that's been floated out there because there's some defensive players who aren't really accepting of his missed workouts during the summer. And that maybe they're considering offense to make him someplace where he hasn't perhaps already had some unfriendly feelings. I don't know if that's true or not, but
could be.
That's one way to look at it. Is that some of the guys in the secondary aren't real thrilled with his ethic to this point, his work ethic. So that could be one reason that it might come up. But at the same time, you've also got the fact of the way he played in high school both ways, and you can look at what has happened coming from Colorado and translating to the NFL with a two-way player, that we're back in that era where people are thinking, can my guy do that? Because, nobody does that, nobody did it, but then, nobody played baseball and football, and Deion did it.
Yeah.
But, there's some of those. Every time it comes around, everybody talks about looks and see if they've got that on their roster.
Yeah. If I'm Boo Carter, Donnie, I'm wanting to go both ways. And I'm looking to excel both ways, and I want this football team to do really good because come springtime, I'm in a real negotiating deal.
It sure is.
If you really step up there and have a great year on both sides of the ball, that's going to really benefit you. Hey, I was looking at the next year's schedule. I want to talk a little bit about, or this year's schedule. I want to talk a little bit about it. I've got, and you can disagree with me, and we'll go from there, but I've got probable losses. Probable a chance.
Right. I got you.
Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, Florida. 2 of those games are on the road, 2 of them are at home.
So 8-4?
Yeah. I've got those 4 that are probable. Do you, Marcus, you want to take somebody out of there or add somebody? Or
No, not at all. You know how I am.
You think those are –
I think that's conservative.
Okay, I think it's pretty conservative. Give me games. These are games that you and I could probably go over there and call the plays. I don't know. East Tennessee State.
Yeah, but it cost you $5,000.
Yeah. Yeah. For a whole game, yeah, it costs. I'd have to mortgage the house and then some.
Well, we got sponsors, Mike.
Give me games: East Tennessee State, UAB, New Mexico State. No,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, just show up.
Yeah, there's 3 wins right there. Favored to win. Win. Syracuse. The last line I saw was 14 points right now. Going in. Mississippi State. They're picked down toward the bottom of the league.
Imagine that.
Arkansas. Don't know what we got there. They could be a little bit
They're,
of course, you got
they're a
them at
little bit
home.
tricky sometimes.
Yeah, they can be really tricky.
Pesky.
You got Kentucky.
And they're a little pesky sometimes.
You got Kentucky, and you got Vanderbilt with their quarterback down there that's spouting off quite a bit. But there's 5 games right there that you're probably favored to win.
I would say you're right.
Anything in that group, Marcus, that concerns you that you'd lose sleep over?
I won't lose sleep over any of that.
But period. He
you
slept
look
through
at
most of the game last night.
You look at that conference list of teams that you should beat. I don't know that Tennessee can count on that this year. I would not be surprised to see them drop one of those 3 should-win games.
Well, I wouldn't either.
And I say that especially when you've got the quarterback matchup with Vanderbilt concerns me.
Yeah.
Nothing would surprise me this year.
Trap game.
I think I just covered that.
Yeah.
Well, I got the trap game. I've got. They play Kentucky after Bama, and I think that's up at Lexington.
That might be a trap game.
And I've got the Arkansas game before the Bama game, right before the Bama game. I kind of got those as trap games because you're right there. You're thinking you could either have a hangover or you can have we're looking to the next one.
Looking beyond.
Yeah.
I don't know if that carries as much anymore. I think the fan base has more of a hangover than the players actually do these days, in multiple ways. But Donnie, if you want to look at that,
easily.
But players seem to wash wins and losses out of their head a lot quicker now than they used to, and maybe it's because of the repetitions they go through now and the specialization of playing one sport. But it doesn't. I mean, they're upset that or happy that night, and they're still boisterous, until Monday. But I mean, it can affect the mood. But I don't see the players just like hanging their heads unless things are going really wrong and you're 0-5 or 0-6 to start, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You take Maryville for example. They'll wash that one right. They'll flush that game last night, and they'll go on and they'll win the rest of their games probably up to state semis.
Yeah.
When they play Oakland.
But I'm telling you right now, that game is still in the back of their mind.
Has to be.
I played on teams over there at UT, and it was all about Kentucky.
Yeah.
And we won the league one year, and that year we won the league. I think we split. No, we lost to Kentucky twice. We tied them, but we lost to Kentucky twice. Well, everybody they forgot all about the SEC championship. It was like, well, you didn't beat Kentucky. You see what I'm saying? It's always in back of somebody's mind.
And that game, to standings, that game means nothing. But it means a lot.
You can win the state championship, and there's going to be that group out there that's going to say, yeah, but you didn't beat Alcoa. You didn't get them.
Well, that's absolutely true. But I think just because it's so difficult to win an SEC title under this format, and especially when we're already talking this week about maybe throwing out the conference championship games down the road, that you're looking at, what do you hang your hat on? Well, Tennessee is, that's the measuring stick. Did you beat Vanderbilt? Did you beat Alabama? And you can throw in there Kentucky for most recent fans, but that doesn't always stick as well with the fan base that's a little bit older than you or me.
Right.
That have some other team have like an Auburn or a Georgia on that list.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, key game. Got a new quarterback in. Got some new people. Got a lot of talent on that football team over there. Key game. Start with you, Marcus.
Mine is going to be Georgia.
Yeah.
Out of the gate. First part of your schedule, back where they used to be when we went to division play. It's a real test, and it comes early, and Syracuse will give you a little bit of a gauge, but Georgia's going to give you the measuring stick of where you are.
Yeah. Donnie?
Yeah, but I would much rather be 1-0 than 0-1. So I'm going to say Syracuse.
Syracuse,
I'm going to open it up.
Yeah. Well, that Georgia, I've got Georgia too. I think Georgia's a big game. I really do. I think that right now is going to tell you kind of where you're heading, but and that could change. that could change the key game after the Georgia game, and you look in the schedule the rest of the way down, that's going to change. But
Well, it changed. I mean, we're looking at the perspective of season hasn't started yet, but if you go out and lay an egg against Syracuse, then game 2 becomes a big game. It becomes a key game because you don't want to be 0-2 playing Georgia.
yeah,
Absolutely not.
you'd rather have Georgia early or late.
I'm going to say I like Georgia where they are. I like
Early.
I like it when we have Georgia early
It's tradition.
because I'm one of those people, and because I've voted in polls in the past, it does matter.
Yeah.
If you don't drop a game after October, you have more momentum on the team, and all you're doing is climbing as everybody else takes a loss.
Yeah. So you're sort of like he's sort of like Steve Spurrier. Remember Spurrier at South Carolina?
Yeah.
They asked Spurrier, said, "Well, we see where you play Georgia early." He says, "Yeah, I always like to play Georgia right up there in the first 2 or 3 games because they usually got a lot of guys in jail, got a lot of guys in trouble. I don't have to play against the full roster." So
And he's so witty.
yeah. So I don't know. But anyway, I don't know how many of those games Steve Spurrier came out. Maybe he didn't come out of any of them.
I don't know.
He was always good for a one-liner, I guess. Hey, we'll take a timeout here. When we return, Donnie Moore will provide high school football scores from last night and some other news from around the area. And then Marcus Fitzsimmons, the veteran sports writer, will join us with his feature Mark It Down. You're listening to the GoTeez Sports Page, Blount County Sports Voice. And now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 90 years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
Welcome back to the GoTeez Sports Page. Donnie Moore, boy, what a big night, high school football. And of course, Alcoa and Maryville headlined that.
Sure.
A TV game. Boy, they did the clarity of the game on television. It was just like watching a UT game. It was
That's great.
amazing. I watched it from start to finish. And then, of course, I think the other big story was over there at William Blount. You know, how they took care of Loudon, who has traditionally, the last several years, had a pretty good football team. And boy, William Blount shut them out.
Sure did.
So
won big time.
that
too.
was kind of a little bit of a surprise also, a good surprise there. But I'll turn it over to you because I know we got some other scores and we got some games today, which is a little unusual.
We do. Thank you, sir.
It's all yours.
Well, prep football week 1 started off with a bang. The local news stations in Knoxville dubbed the Maryville-Alcoa game the greatest rivalry in the area, and I wouldn't argue that.
No. Maybe the greatest rival in the Southeast. It was their 97th meeting.
97th, Battle of Pistol Creek.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marcus, for straightening me out on that.
Well, you've seen so many of them, Donnie.
He's seen all but 3. We're getting up to the age of Lonnie and Ray, aren't we?
Yeah, it won't be long.
Yeah.
Goodness. But Maryville came over across town to Alcoa last night in the Battle of Pistol Creek, and boy, was it a battle. Goodness gracious, it stayed back and forth, nip and tuck for the whole game, just about up down to the final play of the game when Maryville was about to score, and Alcoa came up with a couple of great defensive plays in the end zone to break up passes, and Alcoa finally comes out on top, 28-21. Scored right before halftime to tie it up, and man, what a game!
I got to ask Marcus this. in viewing the game, it was obvious that based on where the ball was when Alcoa had it on their last possession, that they were just going to, with a timeout situation for Maryville, they were just going to run the clock down to 1 or 2 seconds and kick the field goal. I mean, that was obvious they were going to do that.
Sure.
But Maryville actually let them run a couple of plays using a timeout and let the clock run to that 40-some seconds. When it was so obvious of what they were going to do, why didn't they just go ahead and let them score with a minute to go or whatever to give them a little bit more time to run their offense and try to tie the game? I, of course, I'm not a football coach, but I thought maybe they could have, let them go in a little earlier because it was obvious what they were going to do. Marcus, your take on that last minute and 10 seconds or 12 seconds or whatever?
Well, I mean, you had to play to get it to the 10. And at that point, I think we were debating was Alcoa going to push it to try to score, or were they going to try to burn the clock and kick it? And I had my thoughts about what was the right thing to do, and I believe some of the other people had their thoughts. And
we were.
It really didn't matter because one person
get it to the middle of the field.
They had it in the middle,
and then Micah Jones busted it to the right side, and here he went.
Yeah. So it didn't matter what we thought because the only thing that mattered was what Coach Nix thought.
7 yards into the end zone.
Yeah. Well, they let him score.
You're right.
But they let him score.
Maryville did not say that.
Yeah,
but they also did not deny it.
Right.
Because
well, I can tell you on TV, it looked like they just opened up the gates.
Yeah, from our perspective, it looked like once Micah got past the lineman, the second line did not collapse on him. But he did not. I mean, it wasn't like he went in untouched. He went through a defensive lineman to get into the end zone.
I think it was a smart call to let him go ahead and score. To give your offense a chance, especially the offense that Maryville's got. Yeah. The quarterback they've got back there. That I just felt like it was a good move. I just thought it was a little late. Making the decision. If that's what they did.
If that was what they did, I'm not sure you could have done it when Alcoa was out at the 20 or 22 yard line. Because, they had the opportunity. I mean, Alcoa was going into the run the clock center of the field from way out there. As soon as they got inside the red zone, that's where they were. But I think Maryville had to wait. If that was what they did, they had to wait until they got inside got inside the 10 because otherwise you're giving it up. And the other thing you got to think about is as quick as they can be, because look at the 7-second touchdown. You don't want to score and then give it back to Alcoa with 5 seconds left.
Yeah. And the other thing I saw on television, of course, they had the clock and they had the game going on. As the fact that Maryville threw the ball there and the receiver went out of bounds looked to me like somewhere in the neighborhood of 32 or 33 seconds, and they ran the clock down to about, I think, 26. And then they kind of split the difference and made it 29.
Yeah. Put some back on.
And I thought, well, that could be really big right here.
And probably was.
And it was to that point. Then they got down there and had 6.2 seconds and threw the ball in the end zone, and the clock didn't start. No. And then it ran down to 2.5 seconds. And I thought, well, they made up for that, the 3 seconds up there and gave them another play. So that, as far as I'm concerned, kind of washed itself out.
Well, the thing I would some people did ask me about that last night before we got out of there, but my thought was, and I don't know if it was 6.1 or 5.9 when they snapped the ball, but Jones took basically one step, looked through, and it was only a 25-yard pass. So, and the receiver was on his way into the end zone. We let the ball go. So, if he's of any speed on him, you're talking about a 3-second play at the most before that ball goes out of bounds. Give it 4. It doesn't matter. You still got time on the clock for the last play. There was no way that throw was going to use up the remaining 6 seconds.
No.
So the fact
it was 6.6. It was on the clock.
If Maryville had another play, they were going to have another play.
Yeah.
It didn't cost you anything.
Right.
Now, if there had been a play and then another play, that might have been something, but that wasn't the situation.
Yeah. Right. I thought one of the factors right there at the end on those last couple of plays, Donnie, I thought Alcoa did a real good job of putting pressure on Maryville's quarterback.
We talked about that last night.
He had to move around a little bit, and when you move around a little bit, then the timing's off with your receivers.
That's
see, it gives the back defenders, kind of time to recover a
Yeah.
little bit, make plays.
Which they did.
It throws all the timing off.
It
what I'm
does
saying.
indeed. Yes,
so
you're
I
right.
thought kudos out to Alcoa's front,
Right.
for putting the pressure on.
Because
those
they
left
hadn't got a lot of pressure on Jones all night.
No.
Now going into that final drive and down to the last plays, Jones had only missed one pass. He was 14 of 15.
Good grief.
Or
He had a great night.
yeah, 14 of 15. He ended up 14 of 17 after he went incomplete on those last two throws.
Yeah.
So he'd only missed one throw all night.
Yeah. But most of those throws again it was all timing. He was able to throw, and he was also able to scramble and make yardage if they didn't work out.
And
But,
what we talked about last night too was the fact that Maryville used their short passing game quite a bit, and yards after catch was huge.
yes.
And I'll say this, I did not see, there were not many of the completions where the matchup was against Alcoa secondary.
Right.
So I think there were one or two, the touchdown, Coach Nix, the long touchdown after the block punt, Coach Nix took the brunt of that, saying he put the defense in the wrong position, specifically on that play, because he left the guy out single coverage, and Maryville saw it and burned him on it. But most of those completions were where it seemed like you had a linebacker coming over to cover the running back out of the backfield,
Yes.
or from getting an X-back who was coming out from behind a tight end or something. And Maryville did that really, really well, and I think they schemed to get some really great matchups because, you saw those backs bouncing off of guys and knocking guys down. So Maryville did some really good things.
They sure did. They're a good football team. Goodness.
What do you think about? This is kind of a big factor in the game too. What do you think about these punters using these rugby style kicks? Where they go out to the right, mostly out to the right if they're right-footed kicker,
Right.
and it seems like they wait almost till somebody gets a hand on the football.
Yeah, and Alcoa waited half a second too long.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Do you like that?
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
like that? What's the purpose of that rugby run out there and then kick the ball and
Gives you
but
coverage,
it
more
cost-
time to get downfield.
It cost Alcoa, last
did.
night with the block.
Hudson Jamerson did a great job on
Yeah.
punting last night. He got
Yeah.
the ball to turn over,
Yeah.
which will add 10 yards to a punt every time.
Yeah.
And if you embrace that, and Alcoa is one of the teams that embraces that. You have your quarterback, and it presents a different set of problems for the defense that minimizes their ability to set up a return because they don't know if you're punting it or not.
Right.
Now, and on the blocked one, I think nobody expected Alcoa might try to go for it because it was 3rd and long. So I think that took some of it out of it. But at the same time, I'm not sure the delay wasn't caused because there was a seam over there on the right side, and I think the punter, the quarterback, may have seen it
saw it.
and had his eyes get big for a second before he realized that he was supposed to kick the ball no matter what he saw. But I kind of like the variables it creates, but at the same time, if I'm the coach, unless I have somebody I really trust, I'm going to stick with the regular punter.
Yeah. Well,
because I like Donnie too, and I'd hate to see punters unemployed.
this is true. Got to have a job somewhere. Well, the upshot, the first battle of Pistol Creek, or the 97th battle of Pistol Creek, the first of the year, week 1. Alcoa takes Maryville 28-21. Next week, week 2, Alcoa hosts Bearden, and Maryville hosts Knox West, who both play each other this evening. So the outcome of that game,
and that's going to make for a very short week for Bearden because that game is on Thursday against Alcoa.
We haven't talked about this, but it looked to me like, at 5:30 the stands were full, an hour and a half before the football game. Is there any chance that this game could be moved, or is there another venue or neutral site that's got more seats for fans? Then it kind of looks like they've outgrown these two facilities as far as the number of people that want to see the football game.
I don't know. That's something they might work out with Covenant Health Park in the future. Smokies Park.
Yeah, a neutral site.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Marcus?
Well,
what do they hold? What do they seat?
I
6,000, 7,000?
I kind of like it. I mean,
I don't know.
I just like it going back and forth between those schools.
Well,
I know at Maryville it doesn't seem as crowded. Some of that's because you don't get as many Alcoa adults as you get at an Alcoa home game.
Well, you got a seat in the press box. You don't have
But-
to worry about your seat. Donnie.
Well, let me tell you, the nicest seats in a prep football stadium in this county are sitting at Alcoa in front of the press box because they've got chairback seats that are padded
seats right there.
for the season ticket holders.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anybody that has that in high school around here.
Absolutely.
I mean,
They don't
there's
cost
some that have backs.
$2,500, do they? Those season tickets.
I think they're more, Mike. I could be wrong. We'd have to ask the Josh Stevens about that.
Josh that.
They're going up now for next
Yeah,
year. That's
yeah.
2 wins in a row against Maryville. So
But I just kind of like having it home in a way,
Yeah.
and just the series to this point has worked real well with that.
It has.
And I mean, there are some years that it's over. Last night was one where it was Goddard Field was surrounded.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean,
Hey.
do you really want to thin it out so that it looks empty?
can you add seats at these? Like a lot of these sporting events now, they put up temporary bleachers. Is that a thought or something that could be done just for this game that
I
they
don't
could
know
put
whether
up?
there's room at Alcoa or
I
not
don't.
to do
I
that.
doubt
No
there's
room
at
to do it.
Alcoa
No
anymore.
room to do it.
I think there is.
Okay. All right.
Well, let's get on to our other scores of the evening last night. Eagleton hosted Oliver Springs last night. Oliver Springs is traditionally has been a good football program, and they showed it last night, winning over Eagleton College and Career Academy, 38-20. Next week, week 2, Eagleton hosts McMinn Central, who defeated Polk County last night 22-12. So they'll both, Eagleton will be coming in 0-1, McMinn Central will be coming in 1-0. We'll see how that goes. Greenback traveled down the road to Tellico Plains, home of Tellico Grains Bakery, Mike.
Yeah.
I've eaten there many times, and you have too.
Great place to eat.
Sure is. And Greenback got blanked 30-0 last night. I hope this is not a harbinger of things to come for Greenback. They have got 40 kids on their roster this year, so that's an improvement from last year. Next week, Greenback hosts Cosby, who defeated West Green 34-7 last night. So we'll see how Greenback does against Cosby. Heritage at Clinton is tonight, a Saturday game.
And we have a lot of Saturday games this week.
We do, don't we?
Knox County really leaned into
Yeah,
it
they
because
did.
I think they've got at least 3 that I can think of off the top of my head, but maybe more than that. And then Heritage Clinton is going to be, I guess we find out what kind of dragons these are.
That's right. Well, they're friendly dragons or
Well, I don't know if there's any
Vicious
friendly dragons,
dragons.
but we'll find out if they go puff or if they eat people.
Hopefully all their really good players are either at Anderson County or Oak Ridge.
Yeah. Well, so that's coming up tonight. Heritage next week goes to CAK, the home of
Oh.
Scott Cup.
Oh, there you go.
So we'll see how they do against CAK. CAK is playing Concord Christian tonight. So that'll be determined this evening.
I guess Robbie Bennett and him will have some sort of bet go on next week.
Well, they'll have to. Yeah. They don't have a bail to
I mean,
wager
I was
over,
going to
but
say, does one of them have to ride in the truck just for fun afterwards on Saturday?
I'd say so. I would say so.
I'd watch that video. I don't care if there's a bell involved or not. I think it'd be
it's-
entertaining just to hear them.
It's great. William Blount hosted Loudon last night, and here again, Loudon has a traditionally good football
They
program.
have, yeah.
But they didn't even score against the Govs last night. William Blount rolled 49-0 last night.
And what a way out of the gate for
Yeah.
the Doves.
Yeah,
You
I
talk about a
mean-
confidence builder.
sure is.
I Honestly, when I heard the first quarter score, I thought it was reversed. I thought they had it wrong, and that's not to slam William Blunt, but it was not what I was expecting from Loudon.
No.
If you told me somebody was going to throw that kind of score up, I was going to be feeling sorry for WB because Loudon's just traditionally that good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they run the ball well.
congratulations to William Blunt. That
Oh,
was just
yeah.
a heck of an opening win.
And
Definitely.
Loudon, I believe, if my memory serves me right, a lot of years they've opened against Lenore City, which is their big rival.
No,
is that right?
No,
Or
they've
not?
been doing Greenback the last few years.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, they have.
Okay.
And then they go into the Battle of the Bell week 2
Okay.
with Lenore City.
Okay.
And I think William Blunt may have just made their feelings known about who's going to, not Battle of the Bell, Battle of the Bridge. Sorry. Who's going to have bragging rights for the Bridge this year.
Mm-hmm. Well, next week, week 2, William Blunt travels to Austin East. That's a traditional Alcoa foe, at least in the past, but not anymore. But William Blunt travels to Austin East. Austin East played South Doyle last night and got bombed by South Doyle, 52-30.
So that's a very winnable game for William Blunt next week.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could very easily be a winnable game. And our last game on last night's schedule was Seymour traveling to Gatlinburg-Pittman. Gatlinburg-Pittman's usually tough in that 3A classification. And they beat Seymour 44-7. Next Thursday, Seymour hosts Pigeon Forge, who was defeated by Cherokee High School last night, 34-13. So we'll see how that one goes next week. See how that one goes.
And we'll go ahead and give that, TKA is not on there.
No,
and
because they don't have a football team.
They had to opt not to play.
Mm-hmm.
And when you mentioned where Eagleton was going to be next week, Eagleton had to shift its schedule around because they were one of the victims that had TKA on their schedule. So
Yes.
they had to do some compensation and moving and switching from what was originally put out there back in beginning of the summer to what that schedule they have right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be strange, and I mentioned it because we've got a abnormally large amount of Saturday games for this opening week, more than we've seen in the past, even when we had the week 0 scheduled.
Sure.
But we also have a lot of Thursday games coming up next week because of the holiday weekend, and it's leaving some very short weeks for some of these teams who are playing on Saturday night and have to turn around and play on Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
And I blame Alcoa for that. Because after Alcoa played 3 games in 8 days last year, I think people thought, well, maybe it's not that bad if we only have 4 or 5 days to get ready.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see what kind of toll it takes on some of these teams.
And I will say, they're probably getting ready to wrap right now, but cross country openers over at Maryville College this morning.
Oh, good.
I think all of the local teams, well, most of the local teams from Blount County were involved, and they were running that. If I understood it correctly, they were using the hilly version of that course that's over at Maryville College that involves going up and down the stairs. So it's an interesting race, and I'm sure we'll hear from some of those runners later on this fall as we work them in and bring them in once they get towards the end of their season. But they're opening today.
Good deal. Well, we're going to kick it over to veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons for his segment entitled, oddly enough, Mark It Down. We don't have much time, Marcus. Sorry, took most of your time.
I know. We
right there,
talked a
so.
little bit, and I'm kind of looking around because I'm making sure I don't miss our guests when they come in.
Yeah, definitely.
They're going to be joining us in start that second hour. But there were a couple of the numbers that I was wanted to toss out there from last night's Maryville-Alcoa game, and again, it was just a fantastic game.
It was a great game.
But there were some things going on that if you were in the stadium, you probably didn't know. And Mike, you probably know better than we do on the television broadcast how they were keeping up with the stats to let people know how those were beginning to stack up. But, we knew Alcoa was using the formula to try to keep the ball away from Maryville.
Mm-hmm.
What I didn't realize until afterwards, Alcoa ran twice as many plays as Maryville.
Good grief.
Alcoa ran 62 plays last night. Maryville got 31 snaps.
Exactly twice.
Yeah. And you know what? When you see that type of statistic, you're looking at who's controlling the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who's controlling the game. The team that controls the game controls the clock.
That's right.
You see. So that's a big stat right there.
And you know, the victim of that is we talked about how efficient Will Jones could be at quarterback. Is that you look at the total rushing yards, and Maryville only got 14 tries to run. And they got 56 yards out of that. 4-yard average isn't bad, but when you've only got 31 snaps, you're not going to get game-winning rushing yardage. I mean, the defensive line spent most of its time chasing people around, not having to go down and try to bring down some of those Maryville backs. But do we want to go ahead and go into break now? So we can come back real long.
Let me do this. I was going to say to you fans, you're listening to WKCE 92.5 FM and 1180 AM Mid-Century Radio. Mike, take us to break.
Time to turn the page. Next up is the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week segment. You're listening to the GoTeez Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards along with the rest of our broadcast crew, and now it's time for the Sports Page Player of the Week segment featuring senior sports reporter Marcus Fitzsimmons, sponsored by Anderson Lumber Company, where quality service is always a priority, proudly serving Blount County for over 100 years. Marcus, it's kind of Battle of Pistol Creek morning here at the GoTeez Sports
It
page.
should be. When you have a game that good, we're going to give it some airtime.
Exactly, and you got a guest this morning that had an eagle-eye view of all the action down there on the field last night, and Brian Gossett's here with us. And Brian, is your heart okay this morning? And
it's a good thing I got a physical schedule for next week.
It was sort of one of them games from what I was seeing where you were feeling real good about yourself, and then, well, not so good here.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be Alcoa Maryville if there wasn't some of that. And, well, actually a lot of that.
Yeah, a lot of that.
Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you. It's a big deal for our community, and there's a lot of unknowns because it was the first game of the season, but Coach Nix was talking all week about just trying to get in there and make one more play than they made, and that's really what happened.
That's what happened.
That's really what happened.
Yeah.
So. We were talking about it. From Maryville's point of view, it's a lot like last year. They were in a position to win last year too, and they were a lot closer to the goal line last year, but they had their chance, and y'all stopped them then and stopped them this time. These guys are just not going to give up. They don't get down.
Yeah, they've got good players, and I think sometimes people sort of lose sight of that they've got some really good players on their team, and then they're coached really well, and
they're deep.
Yeah, and they're deep. They're always going to have a good game plan against you and some stuff like that. And so, I mean, we almost wore ourselves out a little bit on offense. We had, I think, 2 or 3 drives, that were 7 minutes or longer. And I don't think we came into the game saying, well, let's drive the ball and let's keep it away from them. I don't think that was part of the game plan in terms of it being stated at the beginning. But, as the game sort of progressed, one of the defensive coaches was on the headset going, hey, guys, this is a great defense y'all are playing right here. Like, they're not on the field, and that makes a big difference. And so, it just really kind of evolved that way as the game went on. And, it's not many nights against a good team that you go 11-14 on third down. I mean, we converted 11 out of 14 third downs. So, that doesn't happen much, especially against, a good opponent like that. And so, I think that was probably the difference. And then, Jacoby Cooper made a big play in the end zone there in the first half, and Jameer made a big play there in the second half in the end zone. And it's a good thing they did. So
we talked a little while ago about controlling the game, and Marcus had an interesting stat right there. Alcoa runs 62 offensive plays. Maryville runs 31 for the game, exactly twice as many.
Yeah, and you take away, you take away the fake, you take away the block punt.
Yeah,
and that's a big, huge field position momentum that probably could have changed some things one way or another. And then, we force them to punt, and there's that penalty way back behind the play that hurt us field position wise. So, those two plays changed the field position in such a way that it evened out some of that, difference in those plays.
Right. I thought what was big was the start of the game where Maryville just pretty much went right down the field and scored.
Yeah.
Looked like, well, they're going to kind of dominate here. And then you came right back and scored and changed the whole momentum of the football. I thought that was really big right there because they just kind of went right down there. Maryville did right out of the gate and scored, and you came back. I thought that was big.
They laid their cards on the table pretty early. It was a lot of screens. It was a lot of, routes out in the flat, things like that. And we did a really good job against the run, the designed runs for them. We didn't do great keeping Will Jones contained much, but
who does?
Yeah, who does, right? But answering that first drive was big.
Yeah.
Answering that second score in the first half was big, and then getting that one coming out of halftime. That's the whole reason you defer to begin with, is because you think, in a tight game, if you can get that first one coming out of the half, and then they're kind of chasing points and things like that.
Yeah.
So, them letting us score there at the end to give themselves extra time, I thought was a pretty good coaching move on their part, because we probably would have ran it twice.
Yeah, down to 1 or 2 seconds.
Forced them to call a timeout.
Right.
Got down in there close, called a timeout ourselves, ran the PAT on and did it there. So, it goes to show you they had some confidence in their offense and that kind of thing. So
we talked a little bit about the clock. The clock right there in the last, 40-some seconds. I'm watching on TV, and Maryville guy catches the ball and goes out of bounds. The clock just keeping running. And, I looked at my wife and I said, well, they're playing at Alcoa, you got to, and then you get down with 6.2 and they throw it down in the end zone and the clock hadn't started. And I'm going, oh my God, somebody from Maryville has knocked off the clock operator right here at Alcoa. They're running the clock now. But anyway, a lot of confusion right down there at the end, wasn't there? Huh?
All I'll tell you is the average football play takes 6.6 seconds, and that's how much was on the
That's
time.
what was on the clock.
That was what was on the clock. There was so much going on at the end of that game. I don't like it, but I understand why it was hard for the officials to keep up with it all, because there was a lot going on.
Yeah,
there was a lot of emotions and things happening. So
I thought at first, when I first saw it, I thought, well, those few seconds could really be big. And then when they got down there and they didn't start it with 6.2, I said, well, it's all evened out now. That time kind of evened out, and that was the end of it with me. I thought,
and when they went out of bounds and the clock kept running, they went back and put time back on.
3 seconds.
They put time back on there. That's because I think somebody looked up at the clock and kind of knew, what had run off. But like I said, at the end of that in that situation, I would like for it to always be perfect, but at the same time, we're all human in that situation too.
It was real noticeable on TV because, they had the clock right there on the screen.
Yeah.
while the play was going on. So, you know, if you're at the game, you know, you're watching down on the field and you're really not watching the scoreboard. But if you're watching on TV, you're going, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like when that play snapped, I was just kind of thinking we were getting ready to sack, you know, Jones because we were chasing him pretty well and all that. And so then, you know, when the clock didn't run, then all of a sudden it was like, oh, crap, like what's going to happen now? So, but,
and we talked a little bit about that this morning before you arrived, that on those last couple of plays that the defense up front, linebackers, whatever, you really put the pressure on Jones, their quarterback.
Yeah.
You know, which threw off the timing a little bit.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know,
we didn't sack him much, maybe not at all, but we put him into rest some. Well, not some, a lot during the night. You know, during the game. I thought our D-line guys did really good. You know, we got the run contained early, and it kind of forced them into you know being really quarterback heavy and so then it was just a matter of, well, you know, if he's going to scoot out and get some yards, then that's just what's going to happen. We made a couple of adjustments to make sure that if he was going to go, it had to go back up the middle. But you know, like I said, he's a good football player, and you know, it's his third start in the game, Will Jones, and so you know, I knew when they got the ball back he was going to make a play or two. I just hope he didn't make one more than us. So.
Oh, Brian, you started it, a new quarterback last night.
Yeah.
And I could bait you out there by some of the things that were said pre-game this week, but I'm not going to do it.
Marcus, you won't have to.
I'm just going to say,
No, you guys know what
you won't have
what's
to
said.
bait me. Yeah.
he had if you were drawing up the kind of start you wanted for him, you take away the punt. He had the game you all would have dreamed of, right?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I think it bothered. I think it bothered the coaches more. Some of the media's, you know, take on Thomas and how he was going to perform and thing. I think it probably bothered the coaches, in particular the offensive coaches. It bothered us a little more than it probably bothered him, because here's the thing: like, he came over to us last year. And we said, you know, Eli Graff's the quarterback. You're going to be the backup. Oh, and by the way, we want you to come play safety. Okay? You're a quarterback your whole life. That's all you ever done. And then you show up at our place last year and you start 15 games at safety. Okay? And then this year it's your time, you know. And so I knew he was going to play well. Did he play better than I expected? Most definitely. But all that noise about, well, you know, he's the quarterback they didn't want and all this kind of stuff, none of that mattered. He was Alcoa's quarterback last night, and he led us to a great win. And really, that's probably the end of the discussion.
He said something really interesting, and it was I won't say coach speak, but it sounded a little bit like his predecessor, because we asked him about some of those touchdown throws and the efforts he got from his receivers. And the response was, I know these receivers will go up and get the ball for me.
Yeah.
So for him to be tied in with those guys, is some of that because he was playing in the secondary with some of those receivers last year?
Yeah, they've played some 7-on-7 in the off season together. And, you know, he did what he was asked to do in the passing game this game, and you know, he stayed within himself. And you know, what you worry about a little bit with him is, you know, the emotion of, I'm going against this old team, you know, all this kind of stuff. You're kind of worried a little bit about the emotion of that. But I mean, after that first drive, I knew that we weren't going to have any problems out of our quarterback, and he just made sure that he protected the ball. He got the ball to the right people when he needed to get down and make a first down on a run, you know, on a scramble. He did it. And like I said, you think last night was a good performance. I don't think we're anywhere close to seeing as good as he's going to be.
Yeah, other than the blocked punt, I don't think Alcoa had a turnover.
No, and the block punt, that was a coaching error. We waited around to make a decision and let them get set up, and so that's on us. You know, that's on us. So, and hopefully we've figured it out now since it was the first game and all that.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking that, you know, it almost looked from our perspective like there was an opening on the right side that was there if he had decided to tuck it and run. And like that might have distracted him because he was supposed to kick, but he saw such a huge opening it kind of threw him off a little bit.
Yeah, part of the way that we punt is we want to try to hold it a long time so that we can kick it directionally, and so I think he held on to it a little too long. But like I said, the protection wasn't good, and we waited too long to get set to give ourselves a chance if we even wanted to fake it. Which we might could have, but
yeah, it's a combination.
It was a coaching error a little bit, so.
Brian, I think one of the factors that made this a great football game was the fact that it was clean. There wasn't very many penalties in this football game.
Yeah, it's one of the best
on either side.
Yeah, it was a clean game played by both sides. I thought it was officiated really well.
Yeah, well played.
Well officiated. All of it was.
And well coached.
Yeah, and that's pretty amazing right out of the gate. First game of the season, you would expect a few more penalties. And
you'd like to think that our team and their team, has enough experience in some spots where it's going to be a little cleaner, a little sooner. And, they went against Baylor and we went against McCallie in the preseason. So, that's probably the two best programs in this whole state.
Do you like this rivalry game right out of the gate?
No.
We would rather play it on down the schedule.
Yeah, the only way I would like it on this date is if you could turn the air conditioner on.
Yeah.
That's about,
Well, we ordered that, and the rain kind of got close, but it just cooled it off a little bit.
Some of the television media kept talking about how, Maryville's only got 90 and Alcoa's got 77, so there's not this big gap. Well, that 90 is Maryville's 10th through 12th grade. Our 77 is all of ours from 9th through 12th grade. So there is a little bit of a difference there.
Sure.
And the depth didn't come out as much last night as it has in the past. There's been some years in the past where we played them early in the year, and by midway through the third quarter, you could tell that they had 11 playing each side, and we had 5 or 6 guys going both ways. But I think we were in similar places last night as far as that went.
You mentioned two-way guys, and I'll admit if I had realized it in during the game, I might have voted differently for the MVP. But Micah Jones just put out an effort last night.
Yeah, he
really
he had a great effort against them last year too. I think he might have. He led us in carries last year, and he had to kind of do some of the rough carries last year. I mean, he was 14. He would get 6, 8, yards. And then last night we knew he was going to be a pretty key cog for us on defense, and so the plan going in was we were going to spot him in there. And then as the game got going and he got a little more comfortable, then he was a little bit more able to play both sides of the ball. But like you said, great effort by him.
Sure did.
And he's probably our best tackler on defense in the secondary. And so a lot of times our defense is set up in such a way that it's going to get funneled to him to get on the ground. So after a while, that takes a toll on you a little bit. So, him being able to carry it like he did and play like he did on defense was a great performance. And he's performed really good against them 2 years in a row.
Yep, he has.
Because I think Coach Nick said last night he played almost every defensive snap, which granted that was only 31, but he also played about half the offensive snaps.
Yeah, he did. And he, like I said, if you had told me, how many carries did he have?
Maryville has him with 12. I think Heath had him with 13.
So we kind of thought going in if he could carry it somewhere between 12 and 15 and then play defense all the time, we kind of felt like going in that was what we could get out of him as far as what he was going to have to do, every
Well,
play.
if 2 of those goes for touchdowns, that's the help.
That's usually pretty good, yeah. And he don't mind sticking it up in there and getting a good hard yard, so.
Absolutely.
One of the other ones that we saw at the beginning, you all were using Condis Cherry and Damari DeVos in the backfield, or C2 and D2 as I show in my notebook.
Yeah.
Having those guys is a different look from having Micah back there. How comfortable were you guys having to use them because of what you're having to do with Micah on defense?
Well, I think think, like I said, going in, we kind of thought, okay, we're going to need Micah to carry it 12 times. We're going to need Condis to carry it 12 or 15, and probably Damari 8 or 10 because he was going to have to play corner all night long. I think we got way more carries out of our quarterback than we expected, and so that kind of limited what those guys were doing. But, I mean, you're going to see those 3 kids back there a bunch this year. You're going to see Jermon Bishop back there a bunch this year.
Strong runner.
Yeah, you didn't see
Goodness.
him. You didn't see him last night, but you'll see him a bunch kind of here moving forward. So those 4 guys, are going to get a lot of carries, and hopefully by the time we get sort of later on in the schedule, we'll be able to change up and do some things and kind of go from there.
Before we let you get out of here,
can we go a little bit longer in the mics?
yeah, we can do that.
There's a couple more.
But I want to ask you a question anyway. I want your comment right here.
Okay.
Coach Rankin gets his 500th victory last night down at Boyd Buchanan. We got a great reaction from the crowd when I announced that last night.
Yeah.
And, what do you think?
Well, he's as good a dude as there is. And I'm so happy for him. Get a little choked up. But, like I said, he deserves
understand.
it.
We miss him.
What he's dealt with his health and things. And like I said, it means a lot to us. It means a lot to our community.
Sure. He's a great guy. And a great coach. Goodness, 500 wins.
Way better man than he is coach.
Yep, I agree.
I think I read something last week where he didn't have any hobbies. The only hobby he had was coaching football.
100%.
Grandkids and football.
Yeah. Nick Saban they used to joke about being around Nick Saban. It was always 4th and 1. It was always about being better. And so a lot of the culture you see with us at Alcoa, is established by him, and then Nick's has kind of taken that and kind of evolved it a little bit. And so, a lot of what we have at Alcoa is a result of Coach Rankin's influence, and he brings in people that want to coach at a high level and do things. And so, I mean, you're the all-time winningest coach at 2 different schools. You've won 17 state titles. I mean, you're in the top 5 all-time in the whole country in wins. I mean, there's probably not 10 football coaches ever that have won 500 games at any level. And so, like I said, I'm super excited for him. My only complaint about it is I wish they had played on Thursday or Saturday so that I could have been down there when it happened.
Yeah.
And I feel like we would have probably taken 4 or 5 vans down there to go
see it.
But just for him to, he won 500 games before he lost 85. I mean, that's pretty crazy when you start thinking about it. So,
really is.
Like I said, he did a lot for my family and me, and I get to be a part of the Alcoa community because of him. And so, like I said, I'm super happy for them.
Well, let's put you on the hot seat then.
Okay.
You ready to go there?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so when people talk about this game, and there's going to be a lot of big moments that people talk about, but y'all brought out the hook and ladder for a short game in a short field situation. And their call for that reverse.
Oh, that was genius.
Were you all
well executed?
Did y'all go in expecting to pull some things out of the special playbook? Or?
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where Coach Nick's. We decided early on that everything was on the table, so we're going to do whatever we got to do.
Yeah.
And so when we got down in there close, we knew we had to get to a certain place for the field goal kicker. And so we got to that play and. They had done a good job of stopping us from running outside. And so as soon as we ran outside there, they had got to the spot where they needed to get to. And then when that thing came back around, and it was a great call at a perfect time. I mean, and really, I thought our game plan offensively was really, really good. I think the only problem we ended up having towards the end is I think we kind of wore ourselves out. We stood in there and swung the whole time, and I think there at the end we were a little tired because I think we just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming, and so hurt us a little bit, there in that next to last drive in the 4th quarter, But like I said, it's, I was just, I was really happy with our 3rd down play calling was about as good as you'll ever get.
It was.
And just like, again, when your quarterback's executing like Thomas did, makes a big difference.
Sure does.
Yeah.
I've said I've never seen a reverse that I can recall in high school that almost hit one sideline and went out of bounds on the other sideline when the play was over.
Yeah, that
It was
that
just really well done.
used the entire field right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, and Micah, we handed it to Micah, so Micah was a quarterback at one time, so we felt pretty good about the delivery, and then really having it in Jacoby's hands there was the right decision. Senior and his last chance to do it. That's the kind of kids that need to be carrying it in that moment.
Sure.
And then what we talked about coaching, I just wanted to put this one out there because I went and looked it up, and I did include it today. But Brian Nix is the very first Alcoa coach to open his career 3-1 against Maryville.
Wow.
Yeah.
He matched Gary last night with getting his third win against Maryville because Gary went 3-13 against the Rebels. So there are only two coaches who have beaten Maryville more times in Alcoa's history than where Brian sits right now, tied with Gary at three. So that was a phenomenal win for. And I know coaches don't keep track of the records like the media does, but that was a great win for him. Win 41.
And what's amazing, I think it's the first home win. They announced it on TV since 2009. Is that right, Brian?
2009, that's right, yeah. We as a coaching staff, we kind of talked about, just being snake bit in the rivalry at Alcoa. For whatever reason, we've had a much better experience, in the game over at Maryville for whatever reason. And you go back and look at some of the games at Alcoa that we lost, 2 years ago, we turned it over 5 times and got beat on a walk-off field goal. I mean, so that one was an opportunity lost. In 17, we, we're going in for the winning touchdown, and Walker Russell fumbles into the end zone, and so I mean, there's just been a lot of near misses, and so for us to be able to get over the hump last night was a big deal. And I'm not going to lie to you, when there were 6.6 seconds left, I had this sinking feeling like, oh man,
Yeah, they could have scored and gone for 2, or you could have had a pass interference call in the end zone. They could have set it at the 1 yard line. I mean, there's some things that could have happened there.
I mean, I remember looking down there at the other coaches, and I went, is this really how this is going to go? Just because, like I said, we've just been so snake bit at home against those guys. But anyway, it's like I said, it's a credit to our kids. This senior class 3-1 against Maryville. I mean, that's wild.
Yeah.
So last one, but it's a short week. You all have to clear heads and get them refocused because you're playing Thursday night.
No, it's moved to Friday. It's back to Friday.
It's back to Friday.
Yes, sir. It's back to Friday. Yeah. Originally, we were going to play on Thursday night because it was going to be in Smokies Ballpark,
right?
The new Smokies Ballpark, and since then that's changed. So it's going to be our home game on Friday night there at Alcoa. So, and Bearden I think plays tonight against West.
Right. They do.
I don't know if it's on TV or not, but it's
I don't know either.
That's their traditional opener. Bearden and West, and the last 2 years they've had some barn burners. And it'll be good for us too because we play West in a couple weeks as well, so we'll get kind of an idea of what they're all about. West turns around and plays Maryville this week, so a lot going on there.
Yeah, I think we've worked it out that between Maryville, Alcoa, West, and Bearden, you all play each other basically every week the first 4 weeks of the season, except one break where you all have Gibbs.
Yeah, and the scheduling thing, moving to 4A has made it easier for us in the schedule because the region we're in's got 8 teams in it, so that's 7 games. And then, I don't think any of us anticipated kind of what was going to happen at Bearden with their coaching change, and so all their schedule was made before that happened. So there's a little difference there, but it kind of got to a point where because the state's making your region schedule now, you really only have. I mean, you're just rolling the dice on whether or not you can get the same week. And
That's
so
true.
with Maryville, I think we were probably going to play 2 is what was going to happen, and then we had a team that backed out on us at the last minute, and so it's just one of those things. But it's been good for us because our fans are getting to see some local teams, which is good. I mean, and our middle school about 3 or 4 years ago started playing in that MAC. It's called the MAC.
Yeah.
And they play in the MAC. They play Gibbs and Carter and Fulton and South Dole and Bearden and West and those schools. So there's a little more familiarity with the kids, maybe not necessarily the coaching staffs at those schools, but our kids are used to playing against those teams, and so that's gonna really help us as we kind of go through this thing.
First 2 games, 6A schools.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's what we should do.
That's right.
That's 100%
Makes you
what we
better.
should do. There's always this little this little undercurrent of Alcoa picks on all these little teams and we don't schedule up and we don't do anything and people can say that if they want, but I mean,
Look at the schedule.
You start looking around. I mean, last year Ravenwood was as good a football team as there was in the whole state, and Maryville made the semifinals again. Bearden was a quarterfinal team. West was a quarterfinal team.
And then you had a game last year you didn't finish. What, at Greenville? Was it up at
That was
Greenville?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, the years are going fast.
And
too.
Greenville, had a good year last year. So,
Yeah.
I mean, being in this new league has helped us with scheduling and the fact that we're playing Maryville's good, and West has got a good program and they're doing a good job, and so, I mean, I don't know that we could have done much better schedule-wise than what we got.
And the region schedule is a little bit tougher this year too, and
Absolutely.
better.
Yeah,
Play
yeah.
better quality teams.
I mean, 2 of our region opponents scored 50 last night against who they played, and another one scored 49. So, and Heritage plays tonight, and that's going to be a good game.
It
so,
will be.
Yep.
Yeah, I enjoyed seeing the Clinton coaches show up at the Jamboree last week. That was kind of entertaining.
Yeah.
Usually when they come into those, they're not wearing their uni attires and hats, but Clinton didn't mind at all coming in with their attire.
Yeah, the Clinton head coach, he worked for Coach Acevet out there a little while, so they have some familiarity.
Yeah, he was his DC, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
that's
Yeah,
right.
we were trying to figure out if they were scouting Heritage or William Blunt. We weren't sure who they were there to watch. But
they play them both, so
They do.
yeah.
But Coach, we appreciate you coming in and visiting with us this
Oh,
morning.
yeah.
That is just fantastic win and to follow up on it. But we've always put the invitation. Y'all welcome back.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah.
If you can get some of those boys out of bed on a Saturday morning after they've been beaten up like that on a Friday night, then
Man.
It's funny, Marcus. It's like I couldn't run any of them kids down last night because it was such a big celebration.
It was. It was huge.
And Coach Nick said it after the game, and he said it on the news, and there's such a community tie to this thing, and a lot of times when you win this game, it's not just for the football kids, it's for the community and the parents and all that kind of stuff. And there's so much pride in what we got going on at Alcoa, and to put it on display against them is an even bigger deal for us. And they feel the same way. They're a very prideful community. They take a lot of pride in who they are and what they are, and so it's a good thing. It's a good thing, and hopefully both of us can continue to go on down the road and do well.
I hate to break this news to you, but when you come in there Monday morning, you're going to have a whole bunch of players in there wanting to renegotiate their NIL deals. So you might want to think about that
they
the
got
rest
that-
of the day and tomorrow.
Yeah,
they got that covered. It's Milkshake Monday.
Milkshake Monday,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
There
they
you
have
go.
to pick between chocolate and vanilla.
All right.
Well, Mike, I guess we'll go ahead and turn the page.
Okay.
Appreciate
Hey, it's
you
time for a
guys.
break, and when we return, it's the Boyd Sports Spotlight. You're listening to the GoTeez Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Over 90 years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for the Boyd Sports Spotlight segment. Got Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons here, and Donnie, we got a lot of news out there, huh? Getting ready to fire up college football starts today. I know Tennessee doesn't play until next week, but we got games today, and
the news, the headlines never cease in the sports world. So let's get right to them here. Let's do our sports headlines, brought to you, as always, by Fast Signs. Make your statement.
Yeah.
Make your
Fast
statement.
Signs.
Hey, I've used him a couple of times.
Make your statement with Fast Signs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Donnie, I've used them a couple of times, and they get the signs out fast.
They're good.
They do a great job.
Yeah, they're good. No doubt. Well, the newly resurrected Women's Professional Baseball League began.
The what?
The newly resurrected.
Oh, resurrected.
Yes.
I thought you said resurrected.
I hadn't heard of them in the first place.
Well, they made a movie about them.
Oh, well, that's been long before my time.
Yeah.
The Rockford Peaches.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, they began 4 days of evaluations yesterday in Washington, D.C., the last of which will be held at Nationals Park on Monday. The league, set to begin play in 2026, plans to hold its inaugural player draft this October. So
All right.
let's get the girls playing baseball.
Yeah.
Hope they don't have to wear the same outfits, the same uniforms as they wore in the movie, though.
I think they're a little bit moldy by now.
They should
Hard
be.
to slide.
Yeah, definitely. Whew, man, I see a lot of strawberries right there. Well, WNBA star Caitlin Clark has missed 14 consecutive games as a result of a right groin injury. She's missed 23 games on the season this year. And the Fever has set no official timetable for Clark's return. The superstar also suffered a mild bone bruise in her left ankle while working out in Phoenix on August 7th. Fever head coach Stephanie White said the latest setback was really frustrating for the superstar.
Yeah.
She's not played.
That's a lot of games.
That's a lot of
That's
games,
a lot of
to
games
miss. And they've kept winning.
Yeah.
So we'll see. The 2025 Little League World Series rolls on, with the final 4 teams playing today for the chance to play in the championship game. In the U.S. bracket final, Connecticut takes on Nevada today. And in the international bracket, Chinese Taipei and Aruba, both teams undefeated in the series, will square off in a double elimination game.
A little bit of controversy about the Little League World Series. They're betting on it. Did you know that?
Yeah, heard that.
There's a lot of controversy about whether that should be allowed or not allowed.
Heard that. I hope it's not the players that are betting
I never
on
thought betting would get down to the Little League, did you?
No, absolutely. Well, the SEC, we mentioned this earlier, the SEC is going to join the Big Ten and the Big 12 as Power 4 conferences who have adopted a 9-game conference schedule. The SEC currently plays an 8-game conference schedule and has done so since 1992. The new system begins next season, the 2026 season.
I think that's a good move.
I do too.
And Marcus, they got to play, they may have another name for it now, but one of those remaining 3 games, they have to play against a Power 5 school.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would like to see the SEC and the Big Ten hook up and play year in and year out one of those games, interconference games. And I don't want to see Iowa on Tennessee's deal. I don't want to see who else do we get out of the Northwestern? I don't want to see Northwestern on Tennessee's deal.
Wisconsin?
No, I want to see Penn State, Michigan, or Ohio State.
Yeah, there you go.
Up at their place.
There you go.
Up at their place and see how that goes. But
okay,
I've seen Northwestern and Iowa enough in the the Tangerine Bowl.
That's a nice thought, but remember the wording unless they've updated it, but the last time I saw it referenced this week, it still says Power 5.
Okay.
The Power 5 includes the Pac whatever.
Yeah, I understand that.
So I would think those new Pac whatever members that are coming in are getting a lot of phone calls from the SEC about their
I would
availability
say
in the
you're
future.
So it's really Power 4. Is that what you're saying? Instead
I
of
think
Power
I
5?
think
It's gonna
Power
be,
4
yeah.
is what's going to have to count because
Power 4 is going to be what it's going to be called.
I mean I don't see Tennessee calling Boise State asking them to come.
no.
Well, that'd be a tough game. Boise State.
But that's the
pretty
that's the
tough.
best you're going
I
to
think
get
they're
out
on.
of that.
I think they're on Notre Dame's schedule this
They're
year.
on Indiana's schedule too this year.
Boise State.
Boise
yeah.
State.
I
got
hate
my-
watching games out there. That blue rug gives me a headache.
I love the blue rug.
I got him coming
I
in
love
on
that blue rug.
coming in later, but my brother John's here, and he may butt in with some
That's
football
okay.
as far as Indiana and so forth. But
That blue
he's here.
field in Boise State, John Gruden was saying that birds get confused and think it's a lake, and they dive down.
Break their necks on the rug.
Yeah, so I guess they must be having to clean those up occasionally.
Wow.
But that's a crazy field.
It is.
Well,
Hey,
base-
circling back, not to interrupt,
Yeah, go
real
ahead.
quick. Caitlin Clark, what a draw for the fans.
Isn't it though?
They're packing that stadium even with her not playing, which is amazing.
and they're
It's
still winning.
from Indiana. Merchandise and just the excitement of her being there. It is kind of amazing what she's done for the league and how it's really been promoted to really turn that WNBA into a really legitimate league now. They play ball. They play basketball like it used to be played,
Right.
and it's fun to watch.
And having Sophie Cunningham on the team
Yeah.
doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, man, they've been riddled with injuries, which is unfortunate because they would have really had a run.
They have.
I think.
Yeah,
yeah.
you're right.
Well,
So-
carried over from the Pacers. You know, the Pacers had that.
Yeah, it's just fun being from Indiana to see some winners, whether it's the Pacers or the Fever or the Hoosiers, in football. So
Or the
But,
Boilermakers. The Boilermakers.
we don't talk about the Boilers.
They've been down a little
We
bit.
understand. We've got a school called Vanderbilt down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Well, based on preseason college football rankings, there could be as many as 7 games happening between ranked opponents on November the 1st this year.
My
week,
birthday.
Week 10.
On
That's
my
right.
birthday.
It's
Mike's
your birthday.
Yeah.
Mike's birthday.
That's why
Gunner's
we
birthday.
scheduled it that
That's
way.
week 10. Week 10, here are the games that could involve ranked teams. Penn State, who is preseason number 3 at Ohio State, preseason number 2. Georgia, preseason number 4 versus Florida, preseason number 17. Miami, ranked 10 at SMU, ranked 16. Some good games right there. South Carolina, ranked 13 at Ole Miss, ranked 15. Oklahoma, that's the only one that's on this list that's not ranked right now. Oklahoma at Tennessee, ranked 18th. This is from the coaches poll. Arizona State, 11 at Iowa State, 21. And Texas Tech, 24 at Kansas State, 20. And Kansas State and Iowa State play today, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they
Yeah,
do.
they're both ranked.
Yeah, they sure are.
That
Going in.
controller on that day is going to be hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be hot. You're going to be switching from one
And you
channel.
know what? They're all going to be dragging because they're going to be coming off that sugar high from Halloween the night before. And
Right.
They're going to be slucking down coffee, and they're going
And
to hit
that's
their own
celebrating
button.
Mike Edwards' birthday.
That's Yeah. right.
They're going to be hopping.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, after Jake Paul's victory over senior citizen Mike Tyson last year,
Wow.
Paul was barraged with ridicule, claiming he only fights opponents he knows he can beat. The talk must have struck a nerve because Paul is now stepping up his scheduling game. His next foe, 30-year-old champ still in his prime, WBA lightweight champion Gervonta Tank Davis. Davis's record, 30 wins, 0 losses, 1 tie. Paul's record, 12 wins, 1 loss. The match, which is going to be streamed on Netflix like the last one, will take place on Friday, November 14th from State Farm Arena in the ATL, Georgia. So see how that goes. NASCAR lost a legend on Wednesday as former president and general manager of Charlotte Motor Speedway, Howard Augustine Humpy Wheeler, passed away. He died of natural causes at 86 years old.
Yeah, he was the Bill Veck of NASCAR.
Yes, he
You
was.
know, he had all the promotions going on and everything.
Yep.
Did you? I didn't realize this, but he had a NASCAR race, and he had taxi cab drivers come down there, and they drove taxi cabs around there in a race. I mean, he was a real promoter.
He was. He was a circus
Really?
promoter.
Yeah, he was. He was a first class
Yeah.
reporter.
Wheeler was a pioneer in the sport of stock car racing, bringing Janet Guthrie to the 1976 World 600. And with that move, she became the first woman to qualify at a NASCAR superspeedway. He also delivered NASCAR's first night race in 1993. Wheeler will be inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame as a recipient of the Landmark Award in the class of 2026.
And it's a shame he's not going to be around to.
It is. He has to do it posthumously.
Yeah.
Austin Dillon, staying on our NASCAR theme, Austin Dillon became the 14th driver to clinch a berth in the Cup Series playoffs with his victory under the lights at Richmond Raceway last weekend, leaving only 2 spots remaining in the 16-driver playoff field. The series concludes this weekend at the sport's most famous venue, Daytona International Speedway. Then we'll go into the playoffs. On this day in sports, August the 23rd, 1936. None of us can remember that. 17-year-old Indians future Hall of Fame pitcher Bob Feller starts his first major league game. Strikes out 15 St. Louis Browns in a 4-1 win at League Park in Cleveland. Boy, he's a great pitcher.
Wasn't very old either.
No, 17 years old.
17. Wow.
Yeah. 1942, Walter Johnson pitches to Babe Ruth in a pregame exhibition before the Yanks versus Washington doubleheader at Yankee Stadium. This pitching and hitting exhibition draws 69,000 fans.
Good gracious.
My gosh,
No kidding.
Wow.
1947, the first Little League World Series was held in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. The Maynard Midgets, 16, Lockhaven, 7. In that game, the very first one. 1953, Phil Great throws a baseball a record 443 feet 3 inches. Pretty good wing on that guy.
Yeah.
1964, the Cardinals come from 11 games back in the National League to win the World Series 4-3 versus the Yankees. 11 games behind. Man, that's a great comeback.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Yeah. 1970, the Pirates' Roberto Clemente gets 5 hits in 2 consecutive games, and that's a record. Still stands today. 1992, Dennis Eckersley becomes the first pitcher to record 40 saves in 4 different seasons. Eckersley was cool. He was a great pitcher. 1993, Fred McGriff and David Justice are the 6th major league duo to hit back-to-back home runs twice in the same game. And that's slugging. 1998, Giants' Barry Bonds becomes the first major league player to hit 400 home runs and steal 400 bases in his career. We all know how great he was. 2008, the American women's basketball team wins the gold medal at the Beijing Olympics. The U.S. beat Australia 92-65 on this day. 2020, Mike, Takuma Sato wins his 2nd Indy 500.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was the delayed 500.
pandemic year. That was
nobody there to see it.
They didn't have it till
was
later on in
tragic.
the season.
Yeah, we were really worried whether or not they were going to run that race.
Yeah,
you know,
and people went out there and couldn't see the race, but they wanted just to be there, and
they stood outside.
Yeah, stood in the parking lot over
that?
there with a radio, bunches of them, and tailgated outside the speedway, and
goodness.
I can't watch them, I'll just hear them.
Which defeated the whole reason they weren't going to let them in the first place.
Right,
exactly.
right.
Exactly, but it was really a strange day to watch that on television and nobody in the stands.
I bet it was.
Yeah.
Did they pipe in crowd noise for that one, like they did for football that year?
You couldn't hear it over the engine roar of the engines anyway.
I mean, you're not used to hearing crowd noise when we watch a race broadcast. But
There was a fella that didn't want to miss the race because his string was, I don't know how many years from the first one that he had ever gone to. He went back behind the second turn where there's some houses back in there and there's some trees, and he surveyed to see where he could possibly build a tree house or a platform where he could watch the race, and he did it. Paid the people that lived in the house for the day and then built this platform, kind of a little clubhouse, little tree house, and watched the 500-mile race that day. So his string was kept alive.
That was ingenuity. That was history too, because way back in the 50s and I guess right there in the first part of the 60s, you were allowed to build scaffolds on the infield. So they would bring their pickup trucks and so forth and build these elaborate scaffolds. And then they had a collapse of one of them, and it killed a couple of people, and they outlawed them.
They built them high.
Yeah,
I mean, high.
Piled people on them.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
2024, the Angels' Shohei Ohtani becomes the 6th Major League player to hit 40 home runs and steal 40 bases in a season.
He's a powerhouse.
He sure is. A couple of birthdays on this day. 1934, Christian Sonny Jurgensen.
Washington Redskins.
Quarterback and sportscaster, born in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Yeah. Lombardi took over that Redskin team and made it Jurgensen lose that beer gut.
That's right.
Play quarterback.
Sure
he was 100 years old, and he had him back there playing quarterback.
He could sling it. Boy, he had an arm on him.
Yeah.
And on this, born on this day in 1978, the Lakers' Kobe Bryant, NBA MVP in 08, 18-time All-Star.
Good Lord.
Won Olympic gold in 08 and 2012. Born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Died in that tragic accident, accident in 2020.
That was a shock.
It was.
I mean, a true shock. What a great guy.
He sure was.
He actually won an Oscar for a short film that
film.
Yeah, he actually won an Oscar, which was pretty cool. I mean, all the things that he'd won.
Yeah.
That'd be a good trivia question at some point in time.
Yeah. A couple of deaths on this date. In 2002, Hoyt Wilhelm played for the Orioles and the Chi Sox. He's an 8-time All-Star, threw a no-hitter in 1958. Died of heart failure at the age of 80. And another death on this date, 2003, Bobby Bonds, Major League Baseball outfielder for 8 different teams from 1968 to 1981. He was a 3-time All-Star, a 3-time Golden Glove winner. Died of cancer at the age of 57.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was watching an All-Star game years ago when Dizzy Dean and those guys were announcing, and I don't know, Hoyt Wilhelm, I guess he was pitching or something, but they, as a joke, somebody brought out of the dugout a catcher's mitt. It was about this big because those knuckleballs they were really hard to catch. And somebody's a joke brought the glove out there while the game was going on and gave it to the catcher.
Big as a wash.
Yeah, and the catcher put it on, and then give it back to the guy, run it back to the dugout. Those knuckleballers they were hard to catch. Catchers just hated to catch
dangerous,
those guys.
Yeah, they'd break fingers and thumbs.
Wow.
Well, that's it for this week's Sports Headlines, brought to you, as always, by Fast Signs. Make your statement.
Hey, they're fast.
I'm Donnie Moore. Back to you, Gunner.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. I'm Mike Edwards here, and I'm here with Donnie Moore and, of course, Marcus Fitzsimmons. I've got my brother John here, and he's down from God's country, Indiana, and he's going to spend the week, and we're going to go over to Nashville and watch the final IndyCar race next weekend, next Sunday.
Big time.
So we'll talk a little bit about that. But the season championship, John has wrapped up. Alex Palou what a year he's had.
Man, can't
what
beat,
a year
can't beat the guy.
He's won the Indy 500, and he's a series champion. I think this is his 4th series champion in the last 5 years. You're getting into – you got to go back a long ways to A.J. Foyt, Mario Andretti to get some runs.
Put up
sort
those
of like
types
what
of
this
numbers.
guy's had.
Yep.
And I don't know what his secret is. I have no idea, but he has just really blown everybody away. And I guess one thing you gotta ask is, how does he top this next year? Where do you go from here? Huh?
It's hard to say. He's the target that everybody's shooting for, and it's just amazing. I can't understand why these other teams can't seem to beat this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you go into these races, and it's just he gets out front and he's gone.
He does.
Yeah.
And there's no explanation. He's just an unbelievable talent that it's going to take some catching up to do to really get him. You know, he's only been in the series, what, 6 years?
Yeah.
7 years? 7 years. Won 4 championships in the last 5.
And listen, he wins races on ovals and on the road courses.
Yeah, he's really mastered the oval. Won Indy this year.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. There's a lot of new young drivers coming up, but he's something else and fun to watch.
Yeah.
Great ambassador of the sport too.
Yeah.
You know, very unassuming and just
fan friendly.
Never has a bad thing to say about on-track behavior and this type of thing. Just a class act.
Yeah. Well, the IndyCar drivers they're at Milwaukee, right? Aren't they at Milwaukee?
They're in Milwaukee today.
Milwaukee.
They're practicing now.
Yeah, it's Milwaukee Mile, and what a famous racetrack that is. You know, back in our when we were younger, back in the day, that race was always held after the Indy 500, the week after the 500. Well attended. They call it the Milwaukee Mile up there.
Yeah,
and
and it was a big race back then because they always had the momentum coming after Indy.
Yeah.
And they also had a fair at that time, which kind of coordinated with the race, and they did. They packed them in, and it was a great race, and it's nice that they're back there running again.
Yeah.
Mike, we've run a little bit long on a couple of segments here, so we need to go ahead and take our final break
we'll
right
come
here.
Back. We'll
come back and let you have the last 5 minutes.
All right, we'll take a break here, and when we return, we'll be back to talk some more IndyCar racing and the Nashville race coming up next weekend. You're listening to the GoTeez Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, B.F. Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner. I'm here with Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons and my brother John. We're talking a little IndyCar racing because they're coming to Tennessee next weekend. They'll be in Nashville. And, John, that race was through the streets to start with, but they're building the new stadium down there, and so they're not able to go. So they're out at the Oval, which is between Nashville and Murfreesboro. The standings are over. The season championship is over, and he'll be crowned regardless of what happens there next Sunday. there at the Speedway. But what are the other drivers? What
Well,
do they got going for themselves? What are they shooting for?
There's a lot of drivers that are racing for a ride next year. You know, it's silly season. Don't know where some of these guys are going to be going, such as Will Power. There's been talk of David Malukas going to Roger Penske's team next year, which would be a huge move for him. So, you know, these guys, a lot of them they're racing for sponsorship. They're racing for the ride and for their career. So it's not a nothing race. It's actually going to be really exciting and fun to watch. And let's see if somebody can beat Alex Pillow this weekend.
Yeah, and that's a great racetrack down there.
Good luck with that.
Good luck with that, yeah.
That's a great racetrack down there. You can watch the race and see all the way around.
Yeah, all the way around.
All the way around.
You know,
the parking's great. They don't charge for parking there, and it's just a great venue. You know, it's easy to get to. It's easy to get in. It's easy to get out, and so I hope they have a great crowd. They're going to have to fight the opening first weekend of college football, and of course Tennessee plays at noon. Noon there on Saturday, so that will affect.
Well, they can always hit that tape, record, go back and watch because it's worth it. Watching. If you're watching football, put the recorder on and watch that race.
And it was a great race last year, if I remember right. I think Colton Herta passed Pato Award on the last lap.
Yeah,
I think right
so.
there on the backstretch.
So
They put on a really good show there last year. Let's talk a little bit about Will Power. You think he's gone at Penske?
I don't know. You know, he won the last race. I think the only race that the Penske's won this year. So it's hard to have a guy move on after he's been the only driver you've had going to victory lane. Yeah. So, but he's still got a lot of years left in him, I think, and I think he'll land somewhere. I mean, I could see possibly Andretti. Foyt's team's really kind of moved up to where they're kind of competitive now, and with the help of Penske, I think Foyt, that might be a
much
move.
more competitive.
Yeah, might be a move. So we'll see.
Penske, Roger Penske, been a rough year for Penske Racing and IndyCar. There's been some under-the-table type things go on, some illegal things. Well, really, this year and last year,
right?
That's come to head. It's caused a lot of ill feelings and so forth. And I've got a little tough question. You know, he's won 20 Indianapolis 500-mile races, 20 of them, an unbelievable record. How many of those do you think have been legit, based on what's been going on here lately with Roger Penske? Does that put a tarnish on those 20 victories he's had at Indianapolis or not?
It's like you always say, you never look back, you always look forward.
Absolutely.
So you can't go back and rehash history. But I think they're actually, the tech crews and the tech committee are a lot more, like AJ used to say, it's not cheating until you get caught. So, they did a lot of that back in the day, and the tech crews really need to step up and make sure that these sorts of things don't happen.
Yeah.
It's a black eye, regardless. So
we got a minute left or so. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum. Let's encourage people if they're up in that area.
Man.
What a great facility that is
Mike
now.
came up a month or so ago, and he and I had the privilege of going out and going through that and walking through, and it's unbelievable. If you have some time to take a drive and go to Indianapolis and go through the museum, it is well worth the road trip. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Good deal.
Yep. Donnie Moore?
It's time.
Yeah, but you got the last word today. Quick.
Last word.
Yeah.
I'd like to go with you next week, but I can't. I got a
We'd
ball
love
game
to have
Friday.
you.
I got a ball
We'd be
game Friday
fun.
night.
Yeah. Well, we're ready to go. I'll tell you what. Blow the whistle. Hey, that'll do it for today's edition of the GoTeez Sports Page. Thanks to Aaron Ishmael back at Loud Media, our host of the Bluetick Tavern, and all our sponsors. For Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons, until next Saturday, this is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, wishing everyone good sports.
All right. And that's the final whistle. Join us again next Saturday for the